Hello, friends. Welcome to A Little Room for Healing, where we aim to create a little more room in the world for authentic connection, insightful healing, and a deeper understanding of our hearts, ourselves, and each other through honest conversation. My name is Joel. I'm a Reiki and 13th Octave Laho Chi practitioner, a facilitator for deep healing, and your host. Today, I explore the experience of finding my voice. This podcast journey has offered me an opportunity to speak my truth, but it hasn't always been easy, and this episode is no different. The struggle of finding my voice has been a lifelong battle. I share some ways in which my voice was suppressed as a child and also give you real-time updates of how my body feels about sharing these truths presently. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Come on in. Hello again, friends, to another solo episode from A Little Room for Healing. I am Joel, and I have returned home from Portland. I'm back in New York, sitting in the woods again, and feeling tired after a red eye on Sunday night and then a day in the city on Monday and driving home Monday night. And I was able to rest all day yesterday, but had a hard time sleeping last night. And today's Wednesday, and I'm recording this the day I am, like hours before I'm going to put it out. So I'm a bit tired and exhausted at the moment, trying to get some energy going. And I wanted to share with you this time. I was during one of my hikes in the woods out in Portland, I was thinking about the journey that I've been on with this podcast. I was thinking about how I've been doing these solo episodes recently and the experience for me of just talking from my own experience without it bouncing it off of anybody, and how in that experience I've been finding my voice and feeling it strengthen, and also feeling the places where it still feels a little timid and a little weak. And so I wanted to talk about finding my voice a little bit. When I was thinking about the podcast and my experience with it, I was realizing that it's been a journey of me finding my voice. And you all, those who have been listening to the whole series, have actually been witnessing someone in real time finding their voice and learning how to use it. And I know that when I look back and listen to episodes or think about episodes, I can see the progression in my own voice as I move along, starting with the very first episode until now. It's been incredible, and the healing experience of it is very beautiful. I think it's beautiful, and I'm very grateful for this platform and for this opportunity. And I'm really grateful for all of you who have listened and tuned in and followed, and also those of you who just popped in for one or two episodes. I'm grateful for you as well. The whole experience, everything about it is enriching my life. So wanted to say that before I get into the meat of my experience of finding my voice, and actually why it was lost in the first place. And I think I'll start there. Why do I even need to find my voice? Why am I in this position in my life that I need to find my voice and learn how to use it the way that my soul, my true self, has always wanted to use it? And that has to do with a couple different things, I think. And the main one is, yes, I'm going to go back to religious trauma in this episode. And authority the authoritative figures involving religious trauma and the being an impressionable child and going through the experience of having been told what I was supposed to believe and how the world worked through the lens of the church, and that questioning those things is wrong and sinful, and even saying certain words and ideas was wrong and sinful and punishable by in the immediate grounding and in the long term hell. So that is the basis of it all. And let me go into a little more detail about those things. When you grow up in the church, there is a certain doctrine that you live by, and it is laid out for you, and you are told what you are to believe, and anything outside of that is wrong, unchristian-like, worldly, of the world, sinful. And you're told these things, and while they are made known to you in certain ways, they are considered taboo and they're considered off limits. So there's this, right off the bat, you're being told that there are certain ways of behaving that are off limits to you and that you should do everything in your power to avoid doing that. And that is instilled in you over and over and over again. And a lot of that comes to not just action, but to speech. So this is, the difficulty, I just want to mention to you right now, like even talking about this right now out loud, solo to an open space or to this microphone to you, I can feel the difficulty in it and the tension and the fear of punishment coming through my system, even as I'm just trying to speak my truth. And this is what has happened to me, where if I want to say what's truly on my mind and I feel there's a force, whether it be on an opposing force to that feeling, whether it be a system like the church or an authoritative figure like a teacher or pastor or parent, or even a friend who, and this isn't even a religious thing, even if there's a friend or a stranger who I have come into contact with who has an opposing idea than mine, and it feels to me to the core that if I speak my truth, I am going to be punished by this person in some way, whether it be demeaning words or loss of friendship or manipulation, anything that feels like I am going to suffer from speaking my truth. That is the tension that arises in my body. So even now when I'm trying to talk about where it came from and that truth in me, I can feel that tension. It's really strong. So I just wanted to make us all aware of that and announce that to the room so that we can be with that as I continue on. Yeah. So when that happens, my brain gets scattered, and it's like the force of the opposition makes me lose my train of thought, makes me so fearful of saying the wrong thing that I automatically go into a spin out in my mind when I'm trying to be clear and make sense and make points and offer what the truth that wants to move through me. That is my truth. And that is something that was always so regulated against, was me having my truth. Growing up, there's like this an illusion. There's an illusion of having your truth, and there's an illusion of being able to find who you are and discover who you are. But it's just, as I've learned, as I've been healing, it was an illusion. Like, I definitely had things in my life that I could call pieces of enjoyment or objects of enjoyment that I truly loved. I loved playing sports when I was a kid. I loved acting, and I loved playing with toys. You know, I liked so many things. I liked riding my bike. I really loved all those things, and those were allowed, and I could do all those things. But it was always under the it was always under the impression that they were gifts of God, from God. Like, my musical talent was a gift of God. And all praise should be given to him for the fact that I could sing or play sports. And that it was given to me, and like, it just wasn't, oh man, see, God, it's such a struggle. This is why I wanted to talk about this, and I'm seeing it now. I was having a hard time trying to think of, I wasn't having a hard time. I knew I wanted to talk about this, but something was giving me a hard time to say it out loud. And I'm so grateful for witnesses to this. And I appreciate the patience from all of you as I stutter and mutter through the process of trying to get out these thoughts and feelings that so much want to move and feel so stuck. They feel so stuck right in my throat and in the back of my neck, and I feel it in my chest, in my solar plexus. There's so much anger and fear that my truth is going to be clobbered, manipulated, beat down, stepped on, crushed. Because it felt like it was set up that way in my life. Which caused me a lot of codependence. I had a lot of codependence, like a really strong codependent relationship with my parents, of needing to hold. It was learned in my system that I needed to make sure I didn't trigger them or make them feel any certain way. And so I had to suppress my feelings and emotions to make sure that theirs were not dysregulated. And so that was another piece of the puzzle of why my voice feels stuck and broken. And there's something that's so wild about this. Like, when I talk and I say this stuff, I can hear excuses from anyone who knew me as a kid. But you wrote your own songs, and you were a singer, and you were an actor, and you got up in front of people on a stage, and you acted, and it seemed like you had this voice, and you were always funny, and you made people laugh. And how can you say that you didn't have a voice when you were doing all these things? And the answer is something that I've actually shared on here before. I was singing songs and writing poems that were, for the most part, I'd say 95% of them were like this coded language that the feeling was coming out, but nobody knew what I was saying. I don't even know if I knew what I was saying. I just knew that I knew the feeling that was coming out when I was saying, putting these strings of words together that sounded beautiful and poetic, or crazy and poetic, or random and wild, but somehow worked together and formed this emotion. But I wasn't speaking my truth. I wasn't saying, hey, I'm scared. I'm sad inside. I'm terrified. I didn't even know. I didn't even know that that was the case. And then when it came to acting, I was reading other people's words. I was pretending to be someone else. I was really confident about being someone else. Could do that really easily. So the more that I've been healing, and the more that I've touched on the terrified part of me, and the more that I've learned that I matter, and the more that I've been able to take care and hold my inner children and teenagers, the more that this voice has been coming out, and the more that it wants to be heard and wants to be expressed, and it wants to be angry. It wants to be so angry, and it wants to say angry things without being, I want to say without being judged. It wants to say angry things without being judged, but that's the crux. Of course it wants to do it without being judged. What I really need is to be able to do it and not care if I'm judged. And not let the judgment affect me, because this is my voice, and no one gets to tell my voice how to be and what to say and how emotional it can get and how angry it can get and how sad it can get and what feelings and ideas and concepts that are true to me get to come out. And saying this out loud to you all is pretty wonderful. I can feel the movement. I'm so mad. I have, while there's been this really large release of my grip on the religious trauma and the stories revolving around it, I'm finding as I talk more that there's still this feeling of repression, suppression, and fear mongering that is in me that, as you know, as you can hear right now, as I've been talking about, I'm in the process of healing. I really love my voice. And I'm not talking about the sound of it. I love what I have to say. I love when I'm with my friends and those that I trust are able to hold me and want to be with me in the fullness of myself. And I love when it comes out and it just flows. It's like a explosion of everything, and then it's just accepted, and they're even grateful that I'm doing it. And so my goal is to do it more, continue on, say what I want to say, get out there and say the angry things. I think that there's this idea, maybe it's just my idea, maybe it's just an idea in my head, and it's not an idea out there, that I have to be in my healing. In my healing, I have to be all packaged up nice and neat. And I don't feel packaged up nice and neat all the time. There are times that I do. There are times where I'm really, like, it feels so peaceful and connected and calm. And then there's times where I'm fucking raging inside. And I want to express those raging moments. I want to get on the mic and I want to say, I'm mad about this, and this, and not have this feeling inside like, oh, hold it together, Joel. You can't share anger with people because people will take it the wrong way, or they'll tell you not to be angry, or they'll push back on you. But what if it's the case that my anger is actually moving something more than just what's in me, and people need to hear it? What if that's the case? And what if people need to hear your anger? What if people need to hear what you're angry about? Whew. I'm going to tune in and feel into that right now. Tell you where I'm feeling it in my body. There's a heaviness above my eyes. Some tear energy that wants to move. Oh, there is some movement. There's a yawn. I feel tension in my shoulders. My throat feels like like it's almost open, but it's not quite allowing itself to be fully open. My feet feel pretty grounded to the ground, to the floor. Yeah. There's movement happening throughout my body, which is really nice. Just even expressing that first little taste of like the want to be angry. It takes practice. I've been on this angry journey for a while, and I'm noticing the practice in it, just like any other thing. Practice expressing your anger, practice expressing my anger, practice expressing my boundaries, my needs, my sadnesses, frustrations. It's all a practice. And we're not going to get it right every time. And that's okay. That's okay. It's okay to stumble or fumble the ball when you're trying to grow and expand past your comfort zone and past a place that feels like it's been carved out for you, that you're supposed to sit in, and you're crawling out of it. You're going to grip that edge and you're going to pull yourself up, and then you're going to slip and you're going to hit the ground again. I feel that our truth, our experiences as individuals are so important. And if anybody is out there telling you how to be, how you need to act, how you need to respond to situations, how you need to feel about yourself. Those people are wrong. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in the words you need to, you have to, you should, don't. I don't believe in those words. What I do believe is in his invitations and suggestions. Maybe not even suggestions, just invitations and thought-provoking ideas, possibilities, exploring impossibilities. Oh, Joel, I see you're feeling angry. Like last week. I'm going to use this as an example. Last week, when I talked about failure, I was telling myself the only thing that I could do is fight the failure. I have to fight this failure. And then what I did was offer myself a possibility. Joel, what happens if you accept the failure? What happens if you actually let it wash over you and experience what that feels like? And I gave it a try because I was curious about it too. My body was curious about it. And it moves stuff. And I feel I have a different relationship to failure because of that. It may not be a perfect one yet, but I have a different one. So what's coming up now is, as far as finding my voice and as far as being interacted with, this is one of my things when I'm working with someone, and I'm the participant and someone's holding space for me, is first and foremost, before anything else happens, I just want to be heard. I want to be heard. I want to be heard and understood. Maybe not even fully understood, because that's when questions can happen, and I'm fine with that. But just heard in the experience that I'm having. And I want to do that for people. It's one thing I've learned. One of the things that I've learned along my healing journey is, as I've healed and I find what means a lot to me and what has changed in me and the things that I needed to have happen. And here it is. What I've learned about the way I work with other people as a facilitator or a healer is that it really does stem from the way that I always wanted to be treated. And I don't know if that's, I guess the part of it can be a shadow. And I think part of it's light. Because part of it is, I think the shadow part is the assumption that people want to be held that way too. And the light part is the openness to explore what they need for themselves and what their wounds and traumas need. So I start by listening and hearing where they are and accepting where they are. That's stuff that I didn't get as a kid. The stuff that the church doesn't do for you. Because it tells you how to be, and it takes away your voice. It takes away your perspective and your ability to be an individual fully. There's no exploration allowed unless it's in the container that they have set forth for exploration, which isn't very wide. Another thing I've noticed about these solo podcasts as I am in this experience of finding my voice is that I never know how much sense it's making while I'm talking. I can't tell if I get lost in myself or if I'm making sense and sharing a progressive point by point summary of what I'm experiencing. So I wonder if that will ever change as I get more comfortable speaking like this. I have this part of me that feels like it has to have some ultimate learned wisdom from books or teachers or university or mentors, gurus to share. And so I fight that voice a lot because I'm not an expert on anything, I don't feel, except for one thing. I am an expert on how I am doing right now. And even if that is muddled sometimes, I'm still the only one who knows the most about it. So, about the whole experience. So I guess what I'm saying, Ellis, is that I'm sharing my expertise of my experience in hopes that something may connect with you and you'll be able to pull something out of it for your experience so that you can go forth and speak expertly from your experience to others. And we can keep healing together. It's such a blessing and a joy to be able to do that with you. Let's see. I'm going to tune in to see if anything else wants to come out for this episode. I'm not feeling anything. So I'm going to wrap it up. And I really appreciate all of you for tuning in as I find my voice. And I would love to hear from you all. You can find me on Instagram at A Little Room for Healing, or you could write me an email at joel@alittleriverhealing.com. Go to my website, alittleriverhealing.com, and make an appointment with me if you'd like. I do distance Reiki and distance Lao Chi. There's all levels. There's for a level for people who just want to dip their toes in and see if it's for them, and a level for people who want to go a little deeper with some energy healing and some processing. And then there's another level for people who want to go really deep and delve into a little bit further of what blocks and whatnot is in there on your journey back to yourself. So I invite you all to make a little room for healing in your lives, and I will see you next time. I think that it's possible I might be back to doing an interview next week. Don't hold me to that, but there's a possibility. So I look forward to that, and I look forward to more connection with you all in this A Little Room for Healing world. Okay, have a beautiful week. Thanks for making a little room for my podcast. I'd love to be a part of your journey too. Follow me on Instagram at A Little Room for Healing for news, updates, offerings, and connection. To book a session with me, go to www.alittleroomforhealing.com. If you'd like to support the podcast, follow the link at the bottom of the episode description. Have a beautiful day.